Hey guys, it's Jim Halterman. I'm here in Bangkok, Thailand. And even before we moved to Bangkok, I started watching a lot of different influencers and people on YouTube and learning about travel, but also like really keen in on who's really good at it and who is good about talking about traveling and making that their life, and also cluing into my guest here how you can make it affordable and make travel work for you. I love that because I travel a lot. So we're here with Bry, who's the head and owner of BryGuides. Hello, Bry.
Thank you so much for having me. Thrilled to be here, and thank you for that kind and warm introduction. Really
Of
appreciate it.
course, of course. It's funny because like years ago I would just be watching regular TV shows, and now like I think a lot of people you sit and watch YouTube at night, and you watch your favorite people or you watch your favorite videos, and you're right up there with a lot of others that I've just become big fans of. So I want to chat first about this. Tell me just first your origins a little bit. I don't know where originally you're from, and when travel became like your passion.
Yeah, so I grew up in Pennsylvania, in a very small town right near Hershey, Pennsylvania, Chocolate Town, USA, as they call it.
Chocolate Town.
But as a young gay man, I realized pretty quickly that, my world needed to be a little bit bigger than that. And I caught the travel bug really early. Started with, going to, national parks with my family as a kid. But when it really hit was the first time I was in college. I studied abroad in Germany, and stepping off the plane, and I walked through Munich, which has this amazing kind of pedestrian street there. And I was like, wait a minute, you can structure a society like this where you can just walk to everything. I felt like a college campus, but a whole city. And I was just became enamored with the different ways that you can set things up. And so that study abroad trip ended up becoming another semester. I ended up getting a job in Germany, traveling and spending a couple years cumulatively between Germany and Austria. And yeah, it's always been a real important passion of mine. And then pairing that as well with language learning and getting a deeper understanding of the intercultural exchange element of it. Yeah, it got really fun. And then, after that, I took a job in tech in New York, and the hours were really intense. My background's in finance and accounting.
Hmm.
I no longer do that, and thank goodness for that. That was
Good
never
for
the
you.
right calling for me. But during that job, I was just working crazy hours, and it was really intense. The only time they kind of left me alone was when I left the country. And so I left a lot, and that got expensive. And so I needed to figure out a way that I could save money on travel, and credit card points and miles jumped to the forefront of that. And
Yeah.
so I got really good, became an expert myself, then soon started helping friends and family. And then one thing led to another. And eventually, I started this business where now I help people travel the world with credit card points and miles, saving a ton of money. And, with that flexibility, travel the world full time myself. So it's been one heck of an amazing journey.
I love it. I always tell people that the pandemic shifted our mind about where we wanted to be because we'd always thought about Thailand. My husband's from Thailand, even though he
Mhm.
lived in the States for like 30 years, but he's from Bangkok. His family is here. And we always talked about retiring here. And then because of the pandemic, we were like, maybe we should rethink this and like go while we're still young enough to really enjoy it. And it was kind of like, let's just do it. And if it doesn't work out, we'll figure out plan B. But did the pandemic have anything to do with your thinking, or were you already on the path to this before that?
Yeah, well, I want to just first say Bangkok is an amazing city. So you picked a wonderful place to set
Yeah,
up shop.
yeah.
It is one
I
of, if
agree.
not my favorite places in Asia, and one of my favorite in all of the world.
So
So
great. Yeah.
definitely that. I think what was really important about the pandemic, so I was still working my corporate finance job at the time. And so I was really locked down. And then having this intense global event, which took traveling off the table completely,
Yeah.
made me realize how fortunate we were to have the opportunity to do that and how quickly it can be taken away. And I think we live in a time now, right, where there's, a lot of unrest that's going on around the world. And it felt very important to me, when the world reopened, to start taking these goals and travel things that I personally had for my own life a little more seriously.
Yeah.
That in conjunction with a bunch of other, just life events that happen.
Sure.
And yeah, so I think it was a really good perspective shift. And seeing how, so much of the world and things could be done online, it really unlocked, this idea that, you don't actually have to be in person to do a job or run a great business or provide a service to people. And so I
Yeah.
think it got people comfortable with the idea of, working online.
So once you started Bright Guides and really started putting energy into that, and it sounds like it took off pretty quick because I think from your bio on the website, it said like within a year you were
Yeah.
like, I'm leaving this, I'm going to do this full time.
Mhm.
Did you feel like you tapped into something that wasn't being focused on, or did you have a unique approach? What was it that kind of saw the potential for you?
Yeah, so it did. It happened very quickly. So I the origin story is I helped plan a trip for my friends. We were going to South America. We were going to Rio for Carnival, which was amazing. It's my favorite place in the world. And then we did Patagonia as well. And the trip we almost canceled because it was going to be, $2,000 or more for the flights that we wanted.
Yeah.
And I ended up finding like a really amazing deal and then I was like, does everyone have like 50,000 points in these certain buckets? And everyone did. So we booked it. And they're like, you should like really help people do this. I feel like I just stole this flight. So I was like, well, what would you pay for this? And they told me, I was like, you're right, I should. And so it started pretty innocently. I was just kind of helping friends and family. I started posting every day on social media. And the differentiating factor that I sort of realized, there were so many influencers and content like the Points Guy and amazing publications out there that like explained how to do this. But I knew that it took me going down the rabbit hole for many, 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 many hours in order to learn this. And what I realized is living in New York where everyone's busy, people don't have the time or the desire to do that. Everyone wants to fly
Right.
business class, but no one wants to spend 20 hours learning the different programs and then figuring like the average person just isn't going to do that. And so
Right.
in the conversations that I had with the market, which were just at the time, my friends and family, was just like, we want to do this, but we don't know where to start. And I was like, well, what if I just did it for you? And there
Yeah.
weren't a ton of people, and there still aren't. I think it's becoming, I certainly have competitors, and they're wonderful and amazing as
Sure.
well. But it's not something that's been done at scale or perfected because it is. It's complicated. It's very hands-on. You're working directly with clients, and there's a lot of kind of moving pieces and things that have to kind of go right. So I
Sure.
think listening to the market and what the consumer and audience really was looking for, and they were just like, I just want you to do this for me. And then
Yeah.
being able to offer that in a way where what I charge is only a fraction of what I save people. So it's
Yeah.
like you're not really paying me unless I save you a lot of money. And most of the time I can't even charge my fee because the savings are really high. So I have to just cap it at a subscription amount. Yeah.
Tell me a little more about the credit card side of this
Yeah.
because has that even changed like in the last 4 or 5 years with
Oh
the internet
God,
and
Tim.
everything? Because I was looking at you sent out an email like 2 days ago about with your credit card stuff, and I looked at it and I
Yeah.
was like, because I'm maybe thinking about changing some things up now that I live over here.
Yeah.
But I was just like, this is so like it's not complicated, but there's just so much that after a while, I think I'm like most people where I'm like, I don't want to look at this anymore. Like it's just too many numbers and percentages and fees and. But tell
Yeah.
me how that's changed for you and how it's maybe helped your business.
Definitely. So look, it's a full-time job to just keep up with what's changing in this space. There are a
Okay.
ton of consumer credit cards that people can use. So figuring out which ones are the best for people and for travel rewards does take a lot of time. And frankly, every year or two or three, these cards are refreshing their options. They're changing perks. They are increasing fees, but then adding this or that. So it
Yeah.
takes a lot of time, effort, and energy just to keep up with things. And sometimes when cards make changes, it's quite a robust amount of changes. They're dropping or adding certain things. And so having that baseline kind of understanding of what's going on in this space, which cards are good for which type of avatar, then I do a lot of one-on-one consults with people where they come to me and they're like, hey, I just want to fly business class when I go to Europe once a year. And then I ask a bunch of questions. Where do you live? What airlines do you like? How do you spend your money? These sort of things. And then with that, I can kind of create a matrix in my head, pairing that person with the card and strategy that's going to get them the desired outcome that they want.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's great, right? Because I'm able to put most of my spend on credit cards, right? And that's what most people in the States or frankly anywhere are doing, right? And for you, it's going to look different because you'd want to make sure that you're prioritizing cards that have no foreign transaction fees. Now,
Right.
in the US, we do have certainly an advantage to many other parts of the world. The cards are significantly more powerful and strong, and they have stronger points earning potential. They have higher bonuses because with those hundreds of cards, right, they have to compete to get you to sign up for their card.
Right.
And so that makes a really competitive environment that's advantageous to the consumer in terms of getting really robust rewards when signing up.
Tell me the advantage, because even just what I was looking at your email and what was on there, I look at the fees. I'm like, okay, $95 fee is kind of
Yep,
like my cap. I don't want to spend more than
of course.
$100. But then I see other ones that are like $895. And I'm like, but if I paid this, what would I really like? Would I be rewarded for paying that much of a
Yeah,
fee for all that stuff? Tell me about the differences there, because I think that's a lot of
totally.
things people
So
would say.
yeah, so there's kind of two buckets of cards that I would think about. You have like those lower annual fee ones are going to be great for like kind of everyday spend. They're usually going to be pretty rewarding and that sort of thing. The higher fee cards are tend to be more kind of lifestyle cards
Okay.
where you are getting a lot of kind of like luxury perks. And the ones and how it's kind of evolved is that, you're going to end up doing a little bit more work to get your money's worth out of it. But if you do, it can really be worth it. So like I
Okay.
personally have a card that I pay $895 a year for, and I'm happy to do so. I get more than double the value out of that. Because Jim, like if you book a $5,000 to $10,000 flight once, like please, like that's the thing. Like when you're booking, and I'm routinely booking business first class seats all over the world with the points and the sign-up bonuses for these. So I'm like, $100, who cares? I know I'm gonna get,
Yeah.
$5,000 to $10,000 of value out of this thing. Now, granted, I'm not the average consumer, so for the average consumer, you do have to spend a little bit of time, effort, and energy. But like for like one of these really expensive cards, like here's just like some of the perks that come with those. Usually they'll have some type of hotel credit, where if you go and spend a night or two at one of their partner properties, you'll get between $250, $300 once or twice a year. So
Okay.
that's pretty great. That's already chipping away at a bunch of that. The
Mhm.
one card that I really love, the Amex Platinum, that one has two of those. So 600 right there, you pretty much wiped out
Yeah.
the fee. Then on top of that, you're getting $100 a quarter for their restaurant partners. And so as long as you're going to a restaurant, great. They have a
Yeah.
Lululemon quarterly credit. They have a $200 airline incidental fee credit. There's digital entertainment, so your New York Times or Hulu or whatever you're using is covered there. So there's a lot of like credits and things that you can do to get your money's worth. It just takes
Okay.
some time, right? But the big thing with those kind of lifestyle cards is like for that one, I have gold status at Marriott and Hilton. And so whenever I go to one of those hotels, I get upgraded, right? Just from having the card. You don't need to go and spend. And look, there's times and places where I'm quickly going down the rabbit hole. Sorry. There
That's
are
okay.
times and places where loyalty, makes sense for a client and consumer, particularly if they're traveling often or for work. But what I help people do is figure out what for them is kind of their ideal travel life, and then put the cards and strategy in place that'll make that happen.
I'm curious because you are gay, I'm gay, we travel around the world. What do you see now internationally? Because I know the US, it's very problematic with the trans community, and then I'm here in Thailand where I see trans people everywhere, and nobody blinks an eye, and it's very celebrated. Marriage equality just passed here. We're doing our spousal visa right now, so I don't have to worry about my visa as much, being married here. What
Yeah.
do you see just internationally? Is the world different than the US now? Is it changed? And where do we need to be going, I guess? It's a
Think
big question.
there's a lot of variation depending on where in the world you are, because there's many countries in the world where it's not safe or illegal to be gay or LGBTQ
Yeah.
plus. And I think there's also a different thing where it comes to like social acceptance and then like government and legal
Mm,
acceptance, right? And
yeah.
those two things we often convolute. And sometimes some of the places that maybe are more hostile on paper, people have been wonderful and very welcoming and kind. So I think don't be so quick to rule out a destination because it's rough on paper, because many places, even some parts of the world like the Middle East, where you will find very kind, warm and welcoming people. Doing some research before travel is really important and essential, because certain places are going to be more okay with PDA or less okay with PDA, regardless of whether you're gay or straight or anything else in the LGBTQ plus rainbow, right?
Yeah.
So I think having the understanding of the culture and the place where you're going and what the norms are there, and then just trying to be respectful within those bounds is really, really good. I think it's very sad to see the United States heading in the wrong direction when for many years we were heading in the right direction. Very sad. I'm someone who's from there, who loves that place, but a big part of the reason why I built the life that I built is that I have a lot more redundancy and flexibility in where I can and can't go. And if things continue to go in a wrong direction, I have that flexibility myself.
I want to ask you, where do you call home? Because you do move around a lot, but where do you consider home?
The US is still home. When I'm back, I bounce between New York and Pennsylvania.
Okay.
But the life, like my dream world in life that I'm building towards, I'm back in the US for like spring and fall when it's like not too terribly. And then I have like my hubs in like my favorite places
Yeah.
around the world. And like I'm still figuring out exactly where those are, but right now, like gun to my head, there's not. The ones that I have picked would be Rio de Janeiro, Mexico City, Spain, specifically Madrid and Barcelona, and Bangkok. Those are
Yeah, I'm
like,
gonna say, get back to Thailand.
yeah,
Last
those are
question,
my girls
really.
right now.
Yeah. Last question, really, for people that are watching this and go like, "Oh my God, I want your services, or I want to learn more." Tell me where to send people, or you tell them.
So head on over to BryGuides on Instagram, BryGuides. That's the main point that I operate the business from. I'm posting on there every single day. I repost to TikTok and a few other platforms, but Instagram's really where you're going to get the most up-to-date information. And if you're interested in any of my services, BryGuides.com, one-on-one consults, or I can help find deals for you with the points you already have.
I enjoy your posts where you're just doing your shocked face and seeing all the beautiful men that you see in all these different parts of the country. Because I'm like, it's so true, even here in Bangkok,
It's
everywhere.
amazing. Look, every place has something unique and fun to offer, and
Yeah.
I just, provide what I get to see on the street every day to those at home or in their corporate offices. So it's my pleasure, but y'all seem to enjoy it, so I'll keep doing it.
Well, thanks so much for the time and continued success. I'm a fan. I'm sure you have a lot of other fans out there, and hopefully new ones coming along. So I hope I can help do that for you.
Thank you so much, Jim. Lovely chatting with you. Thank you so much for having me. It's
Yeah,
great to chat here in person.
you bet. Until next time.